Welcome to the Practice Program Assignment Planner. This planner will allow you to access the PESL Audio Lab with all the target phonemes in order to create custom session assignments for your client. A specific assignment link is no longer required to view assignments. The assignments you create will display on the PESL Practice Program on the dates that you indicate, and will be visible each time your client logs in. The client will be able to access not only their current assignment but previous session assignments as well. You as the trainer will be able to specify the date you want the assignment to appear. You will be able to create session templates that contain sounds that you may want to use for more than one client, thus streamlining the time required to create session assignments. You will also be able to include notes, reminders, and helpful tips regarding the production of individually assigned sounds. So let me show you how to use the assignment planner. When you as the trainer log in, all of your current clients or clients that are in your directory should appear in this area here. You can scroll to search to find your client, or you can just start typing in the beginning of their email address, and then it should pop up and you can highlight the one you want. Okay, if this is a new client and you've never used the assignment planner before, you won't have any templates created, you won't have any sessions yet. So let's go ahead and just create our session 1 assignment, and then I'll also show you how you can save that as a template to use for other clients if you want to. So to create a new assignment, you're going to click in Enter New Assignment and then just give it a label, and I'm going to call it Session 1 and hit the Enter button. And then this area here will open up, which will allow you to create your assignment. So my assignment that I've created is Session 1, and the date I can change if I want to, but if it's going to have the creation date, and in this case today, 7/15, and if I want that assignment to display today, because I want my client to practice right away, then I leave that date where it is. But he won't get an automatic email alerting him to a new assignment until tomorrow morning. So if you want him to start practicing today, just shoot him an email and say your assignment's ready. When you log in, it will be Session 1 will be there. Otherwise, he will get a reminder the next morning that his assignment is ready. And I'm going to give the session a name. So let's work on final voiced consonants, b, d, and g, and put a little note in there if you want to. You don't have to. Make sure to use your voice. And there's an editor here that allows you to do some creative things if you want. Let's see, I think there's a bold. Right. So now I'm going to select my sounds, and this will display as when under the Session 1 assignment. So final, we've got the different categories color-coded here, so it's hopefully a little bit easier to locate things. Final B, final D, and final G. Okay, and then I can make a note about each sound if I want to. Make sure you use your voice, otherwise Lab will sound like lap. Just an example. And you can also do the same for all three sounds, making different notes if you want to. If you don't put anything in there, nothing will show up. It'll be blank, just so you can see here. When you click on this little information icon, you see what your client will see. You'll get an idea of how it's displayed in the pop-up on their side, and you can always edit that whenever you want. So there's my first session. Let me just show you that up here on this upper right hand quadrant, these are note areas that will be permanent on the interface regardless of the session, and I'll show you where those display. This area in blue here is the only section, well, also the label area. This area here is the only note section that does not display on the practice program. These are private notes that you can put in as the trainer, just reminders to yourself about something in particular. So, okay, let me show you now what it will look like from the client side and where these sessions and notes display. So when your client logs in, and again, they don't need a specific link anymore for each session. So anytime they log into the practice program, then their assignments will display here, and it will say whatever you have typed in over here on the session label. And remember, I had your assignments. You could type in whatever you want. You can change that whenever you want. This text area under here displays right next to it. Are you ready to start practicing? And then the text area below there would be contained in this pop-up box. And again, you can change that whenever you want. You can delete it. You don't have to have any notes there if you don't want to. Your client can minimize this box or completely move it out of view, and they can bring it up again just by clicking on it or expanding it. And of course, this is something you'd want to show them the first time you're showing them the practice program. Their session is showing up right below here. Remember, I gave my session a label, final consonants b, d, g, and I made a little note over here about it. We're working on final consonants, and I made a typo there, but I can fix that. So that's what they're seeing there, and then each of the sounds, final consonant b, d, g, and I have an information symbol which will show whichever content you entered for that specific sound, and it just automatically displays after a second or two. And again, they can minimize that or completely or move it out of the way, whatever they want to do. Okay, so that's how it appears on the client side. So let me show you how to create a template, either from a session that you've already created or from scratch. So let's say that this session 1, which is final consonant B, D, G, you know you're going to use this again with another client. So instead of when you go in and create a session for another client, instead of starting all over again, you can make this a template. And all you do is just click and drag it over into the template area, and then click on it again because you'll want to label it for your own identifying purposes. You don't want to call it session 1 because that doesn't tell you anything, not really. So for your own purposes, you're going to call it final voice consonants or something like that. That way you know exactly what it is. And there it is. Now you've got a template that you can use whenever you want, and you don't have to do it over again. Now, a way that you would create a template from scratch, let's say that I know that eventually I'm going to be working on initial aspirated sounds. So like PT and K, that's a real common one that we work on. So I'm going to enter that template name here, hit my tab button, and now I'm going to create that template. So here's the label, the name of the template. I'm going to call it initial PTK for my client's benefit. These are aspirated initial consonants. You can put whatever you want here. Make sure you produce a small puff of air when saying this sound, these sounds. Now I can select my sounds. Initial P, initial T, and initial K. And I might enter a note just for a couple of them. Make sure you produce a small puff of air when saying the initial P sound. Otherwise, Pat may sound like bat. Okay, and you can make notes for the other sounds too if you want. And again, if you want to see what that's going to look like for your client on their side, when they open that sound up under their assignment, they'll see the note that you just entered here. That is set to go. It doesn't matter what the date is. It's not going to display until I move it over from the template area to the client session area, assignment area. I can put whatever I want in here, whatever date. But remember that you'll change the name, the label, when you move it. So let's say I know that for session 2 next week we're going to be working on the initial P, T, K. So I'm going to go ahead and move it over there. And I'm going to change the name to session 2. But I don't want it to display yet until next week. So I'm going to put the date to display as the 22nd. All right. So let's just double check that that session 2 assignment is not yet displaying. If my client were to log in, they only see session 1 because session 2 isn't set to display until the 22nd. So even though I have session 2 ready to go for next week, I might change my mind. If we have our video training session and decide that they can't handle all 3 of those sounds, I can modify it. I could maybe just delete one of the sounds, or I could even completely trash the session and start over. I'll also draw your attention to these checkboxes here over any assignments that you create. The default is that the checkboxes are checked. That means that as soon, whatever date you have decided for these to display, they are going to display. Now, in some rare situations maybe, you may not want it to display even after it's already displaying on your client side, and you can hide it basically while keeping it over in the assignment box by unchecking the box. And possible reason why you might do that is maybe the client says, I can't work on all of these sounds, it's too much for me this week, or I didn't think we were going to work on this particular sound. I don't remember reviewing it with you. So you can go into the planner, uncheck it, double check here, and then take a look at the sounds you assigned and modify it if you need to. And then if you want it to display again, after making some changes, you can just check it again. Check the box again. Okay, let me show you a couple more things. Some of it's a review. I just created a Session 3 assignment, and this Session 3 assignment is R blends. So I selected several R blends, made a little note, gave it a title, and I think I need to move that to maybe the 29th for a display date. So right now I have 3 sessions. Oh, and I want to make sure that I keep this as a template too, because I know that I'll have other clients that I'll need to work on R blends. So I'm going to give it a template name, R blends. And hit the tab button when you do that. Otherwise, if you hit enter, it creates another line. You don't really need that, so just hit the tab button. So I have some templates created, and I've got 3 sessions set up. But let's just say that after I have my first session with my client, even though I have already had in mind that for session 2 I want to work on the aspirated initial consonants, I decide, you know what, I don't want to do that now. I want to work on R blends. So no problem, all you have to do is reorder your sessions. So I'm going to click on the R blends and move them up into the second session area. So now it will be session 2, but I have to change the label name so it will display properly for my clients. So I click on it and change that to session 2, and I'm double checking R blends. I also need to change the date because I want it to show up next week, not 2 weeks from now. And that will do it. And then I need to also, I think I'll go ahead and unless I change my mind, I'm going to do this for session 3, and I'm going to advance that to the 29th. Okay. So you can change the order, you can delete them, you can move them over to a template area and create templates. You can move templates over for sessions, just making sure that you give it a new label if you need to. One of the other things that's nice is that everything is automatically saved, so there's no save button on the interface. Everything that you enter is saved within just a second or two. So if you step away from the computer, or your internet goes out, or someone deletes the browser, you should be able to log back in, find that client, and you're ready to go. One more thing that you might appreciate when you first get started until you get used to the program are some tool tips that we have that will, these are little tips that will remind you what to do as the trainer when you're learning how to use this assignment planner. So see, when I hovered up here, a little tooltip appeared that tells you what to do. Select your existing client's email address here. Remember to use the Find Client Email option. And when you hover over some other areas, you'll see a tooltip appear that will help you, just help refresh your memory as to what to do in those particular areas. And once you get used to the tooltip and you don't need it anymore, then you can use this toggle switch up here to inactivate them, so they won't appear and get in your way while you're doing your work. Okay, I hope you enjoy using the Practice Program Assignment Planner. Thank you very much.